The following program contains graphic police evidence from a murder scene. Viewer discretion is advised.
August 15th, 2007, at about 6:20 in the evening, Monroeville police are called to this townhouse by panicked neighbors who heard terrifying screams. The first officer on the scene sees a neighbor outside helping a bloodied teenage girl struggling to talk.
I positioned myself so she was crouched up against my legs to support her.
Police discover the bloodied girl is an attractive, popular 16-year-old Gateway High School cheerleader. She'd been stabbed 16 times.
It's very unusual to have someone so young have such severe, injuries.
And just a few feet from the dying cheerleader, police find her killer, her 18-year-old boyfriend, who'd used the same knife to slit his own throat.
He had a severe slash across his throat, almost from ear to ear.
When police got a call that a young woman had been stabbed outside a townhouse...
The young man survives, the young girl dies. Shocked family and friends console each other at the scene. Parents and friends of the victim tell the news media the murdered girl was in the process of breaking up with the boyfriend.
She was sweet, she wouldn't hurt anybody. Beautiful. She just turned 16 yesterday.
The murder trial gets national attention, with two families devastated forever.
John Mullarkey's gonna do life in prison. Demi Cuccia, her life's over. I mean, on that day, he took everything she was and everything she was ever going to be. There are no winners in a case like this. There are only degrees of loss.
But a devastated mother...
What is it like to take a last breath?
...and father. Do you think about her every day?
Every minute of every day.
Would turn their loss into a mission locally and nationally.
And Mr. Cuccia, our condolences. I know you are determined to let something good come out of this.
To stop teenage dating violence after the murder of Demi Cuccia.
Make the first right that I can, okay?
46-year-old Jody Cuccia drives to Oakland to meet some teenagers. She brings her 16-year-old daughter Sage, too. They want to meet the young people who are rehearsing a new play called Everything is Fine.
Okay, so everyone knows how this show is to benefit the Demi Cuccia Foundation. Well, today her mother is actually here to talk to us and answer some questions that we have. So, everyone, this is Jody Cuccia.
Hey guys. Thank you.
These teenagers wrote and will perform the play about teenage dating violence. Jody Cuccia sits nervously watching a chilling act.
All right. Listen closely, because I'm only going to say this once. Stay away from my girl.
Oh, we're not.
Well, you think I'm stupid? Stay away from my girl. No one's ever going to come between me and my girl.
For Jody Cuccia, this play represents hope and reality as she thinks of what happened to her Demi.
What's your name? Demi. Demi? Demi what? That's Demi. Is that Demi? Yeah. This is Jacob. And that's Jacob.
As a child, Demi Cuccia just loved welcoming people and talking.
Oh, and where are you?
On the bathtub. Oh.
Dancing with older brother Jake, these two seemed inseparable at any age.
Your spirit. I love you so much.
And what is your mother's name?
Demi was this bubbly little ball of energy. Her uncle would call her Smiley because she was always smiling.
See you later.
When baby sister Sage came along, it was a threesome. Favorite fun place as the three Cuccia kids got older? Summers at Conneaut Lake. And even in adolescence, Demi remained extroverted. And at Gateway High School, Demi's spirited personality, striking good looks, and very hard work combined to make her a star cheerleader.
She practiced. If she wanted to do something, she was going to do it right, so she practiced and practiced.
She was an honor student. She had so much going for her.
Popular?
Yeah, she was popular.
Plenty of friends, many of them boys, but not a boyfriend until she was 15. An older boy named John Mullarkey, a friend actually of Demi's brother Jake, showed some interest.
And then started dating. Were you worried about that, anything like that? I mean, that's just sort of the adolescent
It came in so slight because John was Jake's friend. So prior to him, she really didn't have any boyfriend.
By the time Demi approached her 16th birthday in August of 2007, neither Jody nor her ex-husband Gary knew anything was wrong with their daughter's relationship with John Mullarkey. Gary hosted his daughter's birthday party at his home in Greensburg just a few days before her birthday.
That was the weekend right before her 16th birthday, and we celebrated her birthday here at the house. And you know, at the time, I just thought everything was fine.
Everything was not fine, but those who loved Demi Cuccia and John Mullarkey wouldn't know that until it was too late. Gary Cuccia eventually found out his daughter had broken up with Mullarkey 2 weeks before her August 14th birthday.
I'll tell you what I think really set it off is the day before this happened was Demi's 16th birthday. And she had went out that afternoon with a group of friends, teenage friends that were friends of hers. Well, one of those friends happened to be a boy that Demi had feelings. She's starting to have a crush on this boy. And I think that's what really set him off. Because he didn't spend his 16th birthday with Demi, and he kept trying to text her to the point where she even said that she shut her cell phone off because she was so tired of being, you know, pestered with these text messages.
The day after Demi's birthday, August 15th.
Demi seemed quiet to me that day.
After dinner, Demi complained of a sore throat and rested on the living room couch. Jody left to take her son Jake to orientation at CCAC's Boyce campus. Little did she know, throughout the day, John Mullarkey was texting Demi, asking to see her that evening. He even asked if her brother Jake would be home that night.
I didn't know she was getting those until obviously after this all happened. Yeah, she had broke up with him. He was stewing, obviously. He wanted her back, and he was, you know, and he's losing control of the situation. He was like kind of a panic-stricken mode, like, I need to see you, you can't live without me, you know you love me, and all this type of mentality. And so basically after badgering her for 2 or 3 days, constantly with texts, she finally gave in and agreed to let him come over to the house. And
he came at about 6 o'clock in the evening with his folding lock blade hunting knife.
She's my oldest daughter, and we're very close, you know. And you know, and the thing about Demi is the night that this happened, I was the last person to talk to her. I was on the phone with her, actually, when this boy showed up at the house.
It was only 16 minutes later. Neighbors heard Demi's terrifying screams and called 911.
So when he showed up, he must have basically went right after my daughter, because there's only 16 minutes. And through that time, there was a lot of other stuff that transpired.
What transpired is that Mullarkey stabbed Demi Cuccia 16 times, blood everywhere. Cuccia staggered out of the house and collapsed in front of a neighbor next door. John Mullarkey, still inside the Cuccia townhouse, used the same knife to slit his own throat. He too staggered out and collapsed across the road about 20 feet from Demi.
It wasn't my assigned call, it wasn't my area, but I knew I was relatively close, so I went straight down 22 onto Elliott Road.
Sarah Skoog was the first Monroeville police officer on the scene.
Wasn't really sure what was going on. I just wanted to grab her and try to help her and try to talk her through and see what was going on, what had happened.
10 seconds later, Lieutenant Larry Lyons arrived.
Yes, we knew there was a stabbing. That's how the call went out.
While Skoog tended to the bleeding Cuccia, Lyons approached Mullarkey cautiously, worried he was still holding a knife.
And the first question I had was, where's the knife? And he lifted himself up off the ground slightly and pointed back towards the apartment with his finger motioning that the knife was back there. At that point I could see that he was not armed.
He was badly injured.
Yes, he had a severe slash across his throat. almost from ear to ear. It appeared anyway, and he was bleeding heavily.
Both were rushed to Forbes Regional Hospital in Monroeville. Mullarkey was then flown to Allegheny General. He would survive. Demi Cuccia's multiple stab wounds caused her to bleed to death. She was pronounced dead at Forbes Regional. Family rushed to the hospital. Jody remembers comforting Jake, in shock because his friend had killed his little sister.
We had to take him into the room, and he basically just, you know, laid across her and just said how sorry he was, but it wasn't his fault. You know, it's no fault of Jake's, it's obvious.
Did you have a chance to say anything to her?
No, she was passed away when I seen her. I didn't get there in time. I just remember going into the emergency room and, you know, there's my beautiful daughter laying on the gurney in there, and, you know, and I realized, I was told she was stabbed. I didn't know at the time it was 16 times, but I knew it was numerous times, and, yeah, I held her. I just held her and felt her body. I basically held her till I felt her body getting cold, and just couldn't believe it, you know. I just couldn't believe it that they couldn't do anything to save her, and but he severed a main artery, and she bled to death. So, you know, that's to this day, every single day, I think about what she must have went through.
And the Cuccias think about why. Why did this tragic, violent, bloody ending happen? Police investigators found answers as they scoured the horrific crime scene. They zeroed in on Demi's and John's blood-stained cell phones. They tracked text messages leading up to the murder. It would all become evidence presented at John Mullarkey's trial at the Allegheny County Courthouse.
I'll never forget, they put this up on the screen. It was a picture of the screen of the cell phone. And this one message said, "I stabbed myself at Demi's. I love you." Apparently this was a text to his mother. And on the screen of this cell phone, you can see droppings of coagulated blood on this cell phone.
Veteran KDKA-TV court reporter Harold Hayes vividly remembers when the prosecutor put together the text messages for the jury as part of a PowerPoint presentation. Hayes says you could hear a pin drop in the courtroom when the prosecutor revealed pictures one by one of what seemed to be constant messages that fateful day.
There were a number of texts that day in which he was begging to see her, begging to talk with her. And then at some point, she agrees to have him come over.
These are actual police pictures of Demi's cell phone inbox messages, text messages from Mullarkey beginning at 1:03 in the morning on August 15th. "You know you love me and can't live without me." The texts continue throughout the morning and at 12:10 in the afternoon. "Please call me. I did nothing once again, and you lied to me and completely crushed me. Just call, please." At 12:22, it becomes apparent he's irritated that Demi Cuccia ignores some of the texts. "Call me, baby. Please, I'll stop." At 12:28, "Call me. I want to make you not upset." At 12:51, "Demi, stop it. Come see me. We both know you can, and you can talk now if you want it." Similar messages continue, and at 2:09 p.m., "I'm not going anywhere. I'm done texting and calling you. If you want to see me, you will, 'cause I'm right here." Texting continues back and forth until Demi agrees he can come over. And at 5:37, 23 minutes before he got there, he writes, "Is Jake going to be home?" Jake being Demi's older brother.
And the text messages showed that, number one, he was in his right mind in the minutes and hours leading up to this horrible tragedy, and also that he was asking certain questions. For example, is your brother at home? Are you there alone? All this goes to the idea that he is testing the waters to see if this is the time that he's going to carry out his plan. Yeah, I think it took us about a day and a half to pick the
Mark
jury.
Tranquilli, a 17-year veteran prosecutor at the Allegheny County District Attorney's Office, says he presented the cell phone texting at trial to show evidence of intent, premeditation.
And what you can see from John Mullarkey's texts is that this is a young man who was very possessive, very controlling, very demanding of a 16-year-old girl. So, you know, in that regard, not perhaps much different than young teenagers. He carried through with this plan and actually murdered her.
One thing I do remember vividly was during the closing argument, the prosecutor, Mark Tranquilli, pounded his fist on the jury box 16 times, representing the 16 times Demi Cuccia was stabbed.
The case got national attention when the defense brought in experts arguing Mullarkey's use of the acne drug Accutane contributed to mental instability. The jury didn't buy it. They returned a guilty verdict in 45 minutes.
45 minutes is pretty quick, particularly in a homicide.
Mullarkey is serving his life sentence at the Huntington State Penitentiary. His attorney, Robert Stewart, tells me his client is not interested in talking to the media right now, mainly because he's seeking a new trial, an appeal based on the argument the judge in the case should have allowed the jury to consider voluntary manslaughter as a verdict. He told me he knows it's a long shot to win that appeal and get Mullarkey that new trial. John Mullarkey is serving life without parole. Tranquilli won't speculate on the basis of the appeal, but he's confident about his evidence.
The crime scene itself was pretty well confined, and I think we did a good job in showing that. And the jury, frankly, got to see all the text messages. The other thing in this case was the fact that he stabbed her 16 times. You know, it was the day after her 16th birthday. One stab wound for every one of her birthdays. You know, I think the jury had very little difficulty in this case coming to the conclusion that John Mullarkey basically came to the decision that if he couldn't have Demi Cuccia, nobody could.
So they went in opposite directions. Mullarkey went that way.
Well, she came out first.
For Jody Cuccia and her daughter Sage, every day is a memory of Demi at this house.
Have you forgiven John?
No.
Can you?
Nope.
Okay.
No, and you know, with church and having my relationship with the Lord, you know, pastors want to approach me and have approached me on forgiveness. And to me, forgiveness is up to the Heavenly Father. It's not up to me. So that's where I leave it.
Sage Cuccia was 12 when her older sister Demi was murdered here. She's never talked publicly about what happened until now.
A while ago, me and my mom were looking at pictures of her, and I just thought, I feel like I'm looking at myself, like, because we do look a lot alike.
You sure do.
Mm-hmm.
You think that helps your mom?
In ways.
And at age 16, everyone tells her she has a striking resemblance to Demi. Sage loves art and stenciled this of the two of them at Conneaut Lake. It's her private tribute, a way of showing the rest of us that we need to say what we need to say before it's too late.
I don't think I told her that I loved her a lot, and I wish I would have.
You're 16.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the lessons are from the tragedy that happened to your sister?
Just to get the word out there that it can happen to anybody, and that everybody needs to know that it could happen to them.
Are you more cautious because of it?
Mm-hmm.
In what way?
Well, now I know what's right and what's wrong in a relationship, and I know what to look for, what not to look for, what to keep my eyes open about and what not to.
What do you keep your eyes open about?
Just
someone who's obsessing.
Obsessive.
I saw the cheerleading coat here.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah, that's her Letterman coat.
But she never saw it.
She never saw it, no. She would have seen it.
Wow.
Probably another week or so.
And while Gary Cuccia lives in pain every day too, he wants John Mullarkey's family to know.
I want to say this, that I don't ever hold, he has a younger brother and a younger sister, and I never hold them accountable at all, and because I know they're not accountable. And I always think, like, what if my son, God forbid him do something like this? Like, I would not want my daughters to go through what maybe they do go through. His parents, they've never reached out to me.
If John was here right now, what would you say to him?
That I wish nothing good for him, that I still think that he's going to be held accountable for the rest of his life for what he's done, and I believe that when he dies, he's still going to be held accountable for what he's done, and I'll never forgive him. I will carry the pain with me till I die. I don't want to forgive him. I just think that what he did is horribly, it's evil.
But even with their broken hearts, Jody Cuccia and Gary Cuccia find strength.
I just would rather accept the pain and somehow do something with it.
To do something extraordinary, to make sure young people know about teen dating violence.
This is something that I treasure, and I feel her when I touch the hair, so I don't take it out too often now. So.
And the worst of what can happen.
I can do all things.
Hundreds came to numerous memorial services to mourn Demi Cuccia and to support her grieving family.
You know, because at death, you know, you don't leave home, you go home. So Demi, I love you, and I will be home someday to see you again.
With such pain, no one would have blamed Gary or Jody Cuccia if they retreated into painful silence, but they found strength from Demi's friends and the community.
And I just hope and pray that your very powerful spirit will touch millions of lives so that this tragic, unfortunate thing doesn't have to happen to someone else's daughter.
We need to do something.
So they carry on with a mission to educate teens and parents about the dangers of teen dating violence. They produced websites like DemiBray.com, an interactive website for teenagers and their parents.
I just want to get the word out that this can happen. You're not immune to it. No family's immune to it.
And they fought for a new Pennsylvania law, the Demi Cuccia law, which recommends teen dating violence be part of the health curriculum in high schools, because teen dating violence statistics are frightening. 1 in 5 high school girls is physically or sexually hurt by a dating partner. 1 in 3 teens experiences some kind of abuse in dating relationships. Only 33% of teens abused on a date tell a parent.
And I believe that if Demi had some of this education, that maybe she would not put herself in that situation where she was alone with him.
Gary Cuccia fights on to get Pennsylvania lawmakers to pass an even stronger bill to make teen dating violence education mandatory in schools.
I want her story to stand for something. I just don't want her to be a statistic. That's so important to me.
If you are in an abusive relationship, the longer you stay in it.
The same goes for Jody. She visits teenagers all around the region, like the actors from Prime Stage, rehearsing their play about teen dating violence. She impresses upon them to talk to their parents when they recognize trouble.
If you or a friend finds yourself in danger, that's when it is okay, because your parent would rather see you open up.
Go get some coffee with your brother.
Okay.
And she congratulates them on taking the initiative to dramatize the warning signs.
Yeah, I think one of the really good things about it is you're going to show, you know, a couple that has a healthy relationship and one that doesn't.
Jody's appearance here means so much to these teens, like Hannah Weisberg of Gateway High School, who wrote the play and who remembers Demi Cuccia.
I hope that they really get the warning signs and they see what can turn into a terrible relationship, and I want them to really see how they can stop something before it escalates to something terrible like Demi Cuccia's, and I just want to stop anything from that like happening again.
Warning signs that include extreme jealousy, controlling behavior, unrealistic expectations.
if someone's trying to talk to you all the time and be very, you know.
Michael Trim of Hampton High School, who plays the jealous, controlling aggressor in the play, says knowing what to look for can keep kids safe.
You think I'm stupid? After what she said, I'm going to start looking for stuff like that.
Will you be careful from now on? Do you know the warning signs now?
Definitely, definitely. Doing this whole process has really changed the way I think about relationships and dating violence, what's acceptable and what's not.
It can easily be stopped if people speak up. They need to speak up about, you know, what's going on in their lives, and they need to involve their parents.
A life-saving message, say the Cuccias, is Demi's legacy.
And know that by doing her legacy, I believe, is just going to be helping other people so that they don't have to go through, unfortunately, what she had to endure. I just think of her as just being a real bright spot in this world.
For additional resources about teen dating violence, log on to our website, WQED.org/experience.